when history went horribly wrong. 4 disasters you wanted to believe actually happened. Imagine waking up to find your neighborhood swallowed by syrup. Not lava, not water, but molasses, thick, hot, and unstoppable. A wave 25 feet high tearing through the streets of Boston. It sounds impossible, but this isn't fiction, it's history. And it's just one of several moments when ordinary things turned into forces of pure destruction. Today we're diving into 4 real disasters so strange and shocking that they sound like movie scenes. Except every one of them is true. Let's start where sweetness became deadly. In Boston, 1919, the Great Molasses Flood. Boston, 1919, picture it. A cold January afternoon in Boston's North End. The air smells faintly sweet. Towering above the harbor stands a massive steel tank filled with more than 2 million gallons of molasses. For weeks, people nearby have complained about leaks and strange groaning sounds. But the company just paints over the cracks and keeps going. Then just after noon, the unthinkable happens. With a sound like a thunderclap, the tank rips apart. A wave of boiling molasses erupts, 25 feet tall, racing through the streets faster than a man can run. Buildings crumble. Horses and wagons are crushed. People try to flee but are trapped in the sticky flood, unable to move. Firefighters rush in, but the streets are coated in syrup so thick it pulls their boots off. When the chaos ends, 21 people are dead and over 150 injured. For weeks, crews shovel molasses like snow. And for decades, locals say that on hot days you could still smell the sweetness in the air. But Boston wasn't the only city drowned by drink. Let's travel back a century to London, where another wave was waiting. This time it wasn't sugar, it was beer. To the London beer flood, 1814, London, 1814. At the Moo and Company Brewery, a single iron hoop snaps on one of the city's largest beer vats. The pressure chain reacts through the other tanks until suddenly, boom, 135,000 gallons of dark porter explode into the streets. A 15-foot wave of beer crashes into the crowded St. Giles district, one of the poorest parts of London. Brick walls collapse like paper. Families in basement homes are trapped as the liquid pours through their doors and windows. 8 people drown in what the newspapers call a flood of ale. Rescue workers wade through waist-deep beer, while others rush in with mugs and buckets trying to collect it. The brewery is taken to court, but the judge calls it an act of God. No one is punished. For weeks afterward, the smell of stale beer hangs over the city, and in the pubs of London, people whisper the same question: how could something so ordinary turn so deadly? If you think that's wild, wait until you hear what happened in Texas when the air itself turned explosive. First, the Texas City explosion, April 16, 1947. It was a calm morning at the port of Texas City, Texas. Ships lined the harbor. Workers loaded cargo. Families nearby went about their day. One ship stood out, the Grand Camp, a French freighter packed with bags of fertilizer. That fertilizer contained ammonium nitrate, a chemical that can become explosive when it gets hot. Just after 9 in the morning, smoke began to rise from the ship's hold. Dock workers saw the smoke and tried to help, but the crew didn't want to use water. They thought steam could smother the fire instead. But the fire grew. People gathered along the docks, watching the orange glow coming from the ship. Then, at 9:12 a.m., everything changed. A deafening blast ripped through the harbor. The Grand Camp exploded with the force of a small bomb. Flames shot hundreds of feet into the air. Windows shattered across the city. People miles away said the ground shook like an earthquake. At the port, everything was gone. Buildings flattened. Trains overturned. Steel twisted like paper. Nearly 600 people died, including almost the entire fire department that rushed in to help. And it wasn't over yet. Hours later, another ship carrying the same fertilizer caught fire. It exploded too, setting the port ablaze all over again. By nightfall, Texas City looked like a war zone. It became one of the worst industrial disasters in American history. This tragedy taught the world how dangerous common chemicals could be when ignored, and how quickly an ordinary morning can turn into chaos. Some kill not with fire or flood, but with the air itself. First in the Great Smog of London, 1952, London again, but this time the enemy is invisible. It's December 1952. The city is freezing, and millions burn coal to stay warm. Cheap coal filled with sulfur and soot. Normally the wind carries the smoke away, but that week the air stands still. A thick fog settles over London. Within hours, it turns black. Streetlights disappear. People can't see their own feet. Cars and buses grind to a halt. The air feels heavy on us and it burns to breathe. Hospitals overflow as thousands collapse with coughing fits and lung infections. By the time the smog finally clears 5 days later, more than 4,000 people are dead. Scientists later confirm it wasn't fog at all. It was poison. That tragedy changed the world, leading to the Clean Air Act of 1956, the first modern environmental law. But the cost was written in thousands of lives. Molasses, beer, fertilizer, smoke. Simple, familiar things, each turned deadly by neglect, greed, or ignorance. The Great Molasses Flood, the London beer disaster, the Texas City explosion, the Great Smog of London. Different eras, different causes, but all share one truth. When we stop respecting the power of what we create, disaster finds a way to remind us. So the next time you see a factory, a ship, or even a warm chimney on a winter night, remember, history's strangest disasters didn't come from nature alone, they came from us. Because sometimes the smallest mistake can unleash the biggest mess. And that's when history goes horribly wrong. If you enjoyed exploring these unbelievable true events, hit that subscribe button. Because next time, we're uncovering the inventions that changed the world completely by